What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, undefeated, rising welterweight superstar title contender, Jaron Boots Ennis. He calls out veteran, former unified WBC, WBA, welterweight, world champion, superstar boxer, Keith one-time Thurman. Keith Thurman has 29 wins, 1 loss, 22 wins by way of knockout. Keith Thurman is 32 years of age. He stands at 5'7.5" with a 69-inch arm reach. Last time we saw Keith Thurman in the ring was July of 2019 when he lost a split decision to 8th Division World Champion, legendary, iconic Filipino superstar boxer Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao. With that said, Jaron Ennis, he just recently had what was considered to be a step-up fight when he took on former world champion Sergey Lipinets, and he outclassed and dominated Sergey Lipinets and stopped Sergey Lipinets in the 6th round of their fight. Jaron Ennis, 27-0, 25 wins by way of knockout. He's 23 years of age. He stands at 5'10.5" with a 74-inch arm reach. And like I said, we just saw him this past Saturday night against Sergey Lipinets when he KO'd and stopped Sergey Lipinets, knocked him out. With that said, Jaron Ennis, he says that he knows undefeated 3-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, currently the WBO welterweight world champion, who is widely considered by many to be the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, Terence Bud Crawford, an undefeated unified WBC IBF welterweight world champion superstar boxer, who is widely considered by many to be top 3 pound-for-pound fighters in the world, ERROL the True Spence Jr., and 2-time welterweight world champion superstar boxer SHOWTIME Shawn Porter. He knows, superstar boxer, he knows that they're not going to get in the ring with him. So he says he needs an excuse for them to get in the ring. He says that the only other guy that he could fight to make a statement out of would be WBA Cuban star boxer Yordenis Ugas. But he knows Yordenis Ugas, he's going into a showdown, a unification bout with Errol Spence this summer. So he says his option needs to be Keith Thurman. He says if he can make a statement, an example out of Keith Thurman, then that would give him a reason as to why they should fight him. He says right now they don't have a reason why they should take the chance in fighting him, because it's a high risk, low reward situation. But if he was able to somehow get Keith Thurman in the ring, make an example out of Keith Thurman, they would have to be considering fighting him. Okay, so essentially, he said that would be his coming out party, right? That would be his announcement, and then the boxing world would be clamoring for them to give him the opportunity. Now, 2-time welterweight world champion superstar boxer Showtime Shawn Porter, he just stated on his podcast he's not stepping in the ring with Jaron Ennis. He says he has other things in mind. He's the WBC #1 challenger. He's the WBO #1 challenger. His #1 objective is Terence Crawford in a huge showdown or a rematch with Errol Spence Jr. So Shawn Porter says he has no interest in fighting Jaron Ennis. He even stated on my show that unless he was absolutely forced to fight Jaron Ennis, that would be the only time he steps in the ring with Jaron Ennis. So with that said, Jaron Ennis is under the understanding, but he stated he knows Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman is trying to get back in title contention. Keith Thurman is trying to work his way back in that position. He lost a split decision to Manny Pacquiao, a very close fight. Manny Pacquiao knocked him down in the 1st round, and he hurt him bad in the 10th, 11th round, and seemed to be on the verge of stopping Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman weathered the storm, and he fought back to a split decision loss. Okay, so he knows that Keith Thurman, he's vying to get a fight with Errol Spence Jr. Now, Errol Spence Jr., he's saying he'll never give Keith Thurman the opportunity, seeing as though Keith Thurman gave him the runaround for so many years when he was the champion, and when he was trying to unify with Keith Thurman just wouldn't, take the opportunity or give Errol Spence the opportunity. Now, he's lost his titles. He's been on a hiatus, 2-year hiatus. He's fought a total of 4 times in 5 years. So Errol Spence said that he has no interest in fighting Keith Thurman. Terence Crawford, he said Keith Thurman has priced himself out. And Shawn Porter says that Keith Thurman, he feels like he lost some of his hunger for the sport. And Shawn Porter lost to Keith Thurman in a very close fight. He once called for the rematch, but now he's saying Keith Thurman is, has to regain the hunger. He has to work his way back up. So Keith Thurman is looking for a way in. Unfortunately for Keith Thurman, he tried to he trying to lure Yordenis Ugas into a showdown, telling Yordenis Ugas, well, if you beat me, it makes the fight between you and Errol Spence even bigger. Yeah, that does make sense, but for Yordenis Ugas, he goes right into a massive unification showdown, pay-per-view showdown with Errol Spence. So there's simply no reason for Yordenis Ugas, to go the route of trying to defeat Keith Thurman. Stylistically, I don't believe he can match up with Keith Thurman. He's too slow-footed, right? And he doesn't have much power. Keith Thurman is very agile, very high ring IQ, great boxing, very fast hands. Bad matchup for Ugas, and Keith Thurman knows it. Keith Thurman was able to capture that belt from Yordenis Ugas. Well, he puts himself back in title, in the talks with the upper echelon, and he makes himself a major player again. But unfortunately, it seems like Yordenis Ugas is going to take the route going directly into the Errol Spence fight. So for Keith Thurman, that's not a good sign. So with Keith Thurman, he needs to, have a big fight in his career. Manny Pacquiao seems to be on the verge of fighting 4-division world champion Mexican superstar boxer Mikey Garcia, or he may possibly choose the Terence Crawford route. So Keith Thurman seems to be on the outside looking in, but he's trying to get a big fight. So Yordenis Ugas, he's raising his hand. He's the hot ticket right now, okay? He's the new buzz in the sport of boxing. So with that said, Jaron Boots Ennis, he's the hot ticket, right? He's the new buzz. And so Jaron Boots Ennis, he understands the position Keith Thurman is in. If Keith Thurman was able to fight and beat Jaron Ennis, well, that's a statement. But on the flip side, Jaron Ennis is saying, I can make a statement out of Keith Thurman. And I believe he will. I believe stylistically, he's a horrible matchup for Keith Thurman because Keith Thurman cannot stay away from him, okay? He can't utilize the ring and stay at distance because Keith Thurman standing at 5'7.5", Jaron Ennis at 5'10.5". Jaron Ennis has a 3-inch height advantage over him. And Keith Thurman with a 69-inch arm reach, Jaron Ennis with a 74-inch arm reach. He has a 5-inch arm reach advantage over Keith Thurman. The difference is Jaron Ennis has faster feet, and he's more agile, he's younger, he's more athletic, and he's more explosive than Keith Thurman. And with that said, he will cut the ring off on Keith Thurman. He'll make Keith Thurman fight his fight. And Jaron Ennis can touch Keith Thurman from a distance where Keith Thurman can't touch him. So he can counter Keith Thurman. He can reach Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman tries to, be mobile and utilize the ring. Well, he's more athletic and he's quicker with his feet. So he'll cut the ring off on Keith Thurman. He'll make Keith Thurman fight his fight at his pace. And that's not a good thing, especially seeing as though Keith Thurman has been inactive, okay? Like I said, he fought 4 times since 2016. In 5 years, he's fought 4 times. That's not good. And in his last 2 fights, he didn't look the best. Against Josito Lopez seemed that he was on the verge of stopping Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman weathered the storm and was able to overcome it and get the victory. And then Manny Pacquiao seemed like he was on the verge of stopping Keith Thurman, and he wasn't able to overcome it. He weathered the storm. He didn't get stopped, but he still lost the fight. So with that said, he just doesn't look the best. He's been out the ring for 2 years. Even if he had a tune-up fight, Keith Thurman, I believe, is just too much inactivity, too much ring rust for him to beat a Jaron Boots Ennis. Now, I highly doubt that Keith Thurman would take this fight, but Jaron Ennis may talk his way into a fight, because Keith Thurman, what options is he going to have? There's only 4 belts. Terence Crawford has a belt. That doesn't seem like it's going to be an option. Ugas has a belt, but he's going into a unification bout with Errol Spence, who has 2 belts. And then Errol Spence will have 3 belts. He beats Yordenis Ugas. He'll be the IBF, the WBC, and the WBA world champion. So there's only 2 fights for Keith Thurman to make a name for himself. And Shawn Porter doesn't have interest in Keith Thurman. So with that said, also Shawn Porter might get the Terence Crawford fight, okay? Because he's the #1 WBO mandatory challenger. So this leaves Keith Thurman on the outside looking in. Not many big fights out there. Now, let's say if Manny Pacquiao chooses Terence Crawford, well, then that leaves Keith Thurman could possibly lure Shawn Porter into a rematch, or he can get a fight with maybe Mikey Garcia. That would be a good fight for Keith Thurman. But Jaron Ennis, he's very confident in himself. He put on a masterclass performance, as I expected, in knocking out Sergey Lipinets. And now he says that if he gets Keith Thurman's the perfect opponent to make an example out of, to allure those big fights, Errol Spence, Terence Crawford, and Shawn Porter into a fight with him, where they'll have a hard time, turning him down because the boxing world will be calling for the fight. So let's see how this unfolds and plays out. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notification. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share the videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
Oh, it is your boy Jaron Ennis. Make sure you check out Blue Blood Sports TV. It's going down.